name is Chase Johnson. I'm from Denver, Colorado, and we have used C3 Group several times on some of our large loss commercials and our higher end residential for their appraisal services and their public adjusting services. Their knowledge of the market, of the ever-changing regulations, and their ability to create a very thorough estimate from an understanding of construction and the management of the project.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's your favorite balding meteorologist here, meteorologist Frank Gaetano, here for today's daily 12 p.m. hail forecast. As always, sponsored by the C3 Group and the Merlin Law Group. Thanks again, as always, for sponsoring these videos and all the research that we do, going out chasing, launching rockets. It's all thanks to these guys sponsoring these videos and our research. As always, let's get into what we typically talk about. We have our new website up. It's been up for a while. New app updates are up. If you're having issues, don't be afraid to give us a call. We do live trainings. We can schedule trainings with you and your entire staff and get all that sorted out for you guys before you get out there and start having issues in the field. So give us a call if you have any issues using our stuff. We really want to help. We want to make sure you guys can use it effectively and get the most out of our product. Before we get into today's forecast, I want to talk about the late June pattern that we're in. This is typically what we start to see this time of year. We have a big old ridge hanging out over the central parts of the United States, and what we typically see is the severe weather patterns start kicking up to the north, so you get into the northern plains, out into the Midwest region, and what happens is these storms usually they form out here and they traverse over this ridge, as is the case for today. And then you also get the little embedded short waves that go through here, and that also is the case today. So let's let this. So here's today's short wave coming through here in the Minnesota area, and I'll talk about that once we get to the next slide. But we do typically see this stuff come up over the ridge, which is also going to be the case for today. And let's talk about that for today's forecast right now. Having a little bit of a computer issue here. Hold on. There we go. So here's today's forecast map. We're looking at 10% chance for hail in Great Falls, Montana, up to potentially tennis ball size hail today. 5% for the Glasgow area, and then this is basically in this area where storms are going to stay discrete to semi-discrete and be able to produce that large hail starting this afternoon. Storms starting to form in southwestern Montana, moving northeast, and then they're going to end up traversing that ridge and lining out, and that's why I have a 2% for Bismarck. I'm thinking if it can even get down there, it would be mainly a tail end Charlie as part of an MCS linear system, so it'd be mostly a wind threat even if it did get down there. So we'll talk about that once we get to the radar. And then I have a 5% chance for Minneapolis, up to maybe some ping pong ball size hail. Brief window though. We're going to see storms fire right around that area this afternoon and evening, maybe anytime after 4 p.m. we're looking, and there's a little bit of model variation on that, so it's not even a guarantee that it will happen, but if it does, should fire right around the Minneapolis area, and a short window for hail before these things line out and start rocketing to the south and east as an MCS. And we also have a 1% chance for hail up to a quarter size down in the southern part of the country. Mainly a wind threat down there, but there is a lot of instability and cool temperatures aloft. So that's usually good for hail production if we can get a storm to get an updraft long enough to make hail before the downburst winds come into effect. You could see hail up to quarter size, maybe a little bit bigger if it's a particularly strong one in this area of the country. So let's take a look at the radar. Here's the radar for Montana here. See the storms coming up here and then traversing over that ridge. You can watch it again as it comes through. Individual supercells fire, then it lines out a little bit as you get into eastern Montana, and then it starts to traverse that ridge, and we'll see that come down towards the southeast later. And now here's the radar for the Minneapolis area. The MCS that's currently there goes through, and you see storms firing up real quick. That's around 5 o'clock, I think. Let's let this roll back. So here's the morning convection rolling through and dissipating. Actually, that's more around 6, 7 o'clock. So this would be an evening threat, and as you see, it transitions to mainly a linear threat. Might see some tail end Charlies kind of sagging southward in this area if this comes to fruition. So it starts to line out, and then you can see this slowly sagging southward. Could be a late night hail event if you can get 1 or 2 hailstorms to get their act together around that area. For tomorrow's forecast, pretty much more of the same. That's what happens when we're stuck in this pattern. You got to rely on those shortwave troughs to produce hail chances on the eastern side of the ridge as they traverse and come down the eastern sides of the ridge. And that's the issue here tomorrow. If we can get that shortwave trough to actually fire something up in the Chicago area, we could see a brief window of hail tomorrow evening, possibly afternoon into evening later on. I think this chance might be more of an evening into the overnight threat, where things start to line out in the overnight, but there's lingering hail chances. A lot of the same things going on here, and it looks to be the same moving forward. I don't have a 5-day forecast together. I've been pretty busy trying to get reports done and things like that, and mapping storms this morning, so don't have a 5-day today, but you can expect more of the same going into this weekend and then into early next week. I will have another video tomorrow, but let's take a look at the radar. Okay, so here is your chances for late night tomorrow. Here's a firing off coming up and traversing the ridge. It lines out pretty quick as it starts to get into Canada, so there's going to be a brief window here in northeastern Montana and then northern parts of North Dakota for hail up to possibly about 2 inches before things start to line out and move southeast. And let's take a look at the Midwest for tomorrow, Chicago area. Here's some storms firing up around 4 o'clock. So I think your window for tomorrow, as it stands right now, would possibly be from about 4 to 9 p.m. Anywhere from northern Illinois, northern Illinois, all the way over to Chicago, possibly leaking into Indiana if things can stay together long enough. Again, this is just forecast radar reflectivity, not set in stone. Take it with a grain of salt. Things do change, and they probably will change. So we'll have an updated forecast on that tomorrow. But until then, make sure you stay updated and follow our posts on Facebook. Go down to the drop-down menu in the follow section and click see first, so that when we do go live, you're alerted immediately on your phone and you can open it right up and get into it. And if you do need to contact us or want more information, give us a call at 855-334-4245. Make sure to add us on Instagram at HailTrace. You can email us, info@hailtrace.com, or visit us straight at the website, hailtrace.com. The intercom chat box is in the lower right-hand corner of the screen. You can talk directly to any of the meteorologists or any of our sales staff or customer service representatives. For HailTrace, I'm meteorologist Frank Gaetano. Everybody have a great rest of your Thursday.